Welcome back, fellas, into this new video of TechExpress. Today, let's check out the macros in Excel. So, if you perform the same formatting, copying, date, cleanup tasks every day in Excel, a macro can automate all of it with just one click. A macro is simply a recording of your actions. So we will be using the macro recorder to automate a simple repetitive task, which is the best way for any beginner to start. First, you need the developer tab. If you don't see this, what you need to do first of all is to right click anywhere onto the Excel ribbon, select the customization, and what you can do is to use that element to get started. Let's say, for example, we're going to be starting with an actual blank workbook. Here we go. Now directly in here, I need to see the right click anywhere into the Excel ribbon, like this. And what I need to do, of course, is to select the element that says the customization, or to developer directly and check the box next to the developer and click into OK. The tool usually can be appearing here directly to the upper side, which you can just type the word here, developer. And here, let's go for find functions for developer. And usually you can now see those elements directly imported directly. Now, the accessibility, for example, usually it's available for people who have the free version of the Excel. So you might want to take that in mind. Or even what you can do is to just type directly into the Microsoft 365, which is totally free, that you can just type directly in there. So let's go for Microsoft 365, online, logged in, and we are now directly inside, once again, into the Microsoft dashboard. Now, usually the free version does not have the customization of the ribbon and check the box next to the developer. So usually you can find it directly in here, or focus directly into File, Options, and here into Option, it should be appearing directly the ribbon customization. Now, if you go to the newly visible developer tab into the code group, the record macro small dialog will be appearing into the upper side corner. Now, the developer tab can be applied for Excel, Microsoft 365, Outlook for Microsoft 365, the PowerPoint to Microsoft 365, and all of this. Now here, the developer tab isn't available into the new Outlook for Windows. So you might want to be taking that in mind. But in order to activate that, once again, the developer tab isn't displayed by display, but you can add it directly into the ribbon, which is the File, Options, Customize the ribbon. So you can see that when you go for File Options, we don't have this regional settings activated yet. So the other solution that I can give you, just in case this actually didn't work, is to get started with the Google Sheets, for example, that they do offer more elements and less work. The process, it's exactly the same. You can blank and go with your spreadsheets and try to activate the developer mode. This is a little bit more basic than Microsoft, but I think that it can help you with all these events. If you see here the customize the ribbon, this is how it should be appearing. And selecting the developer checkbox and clicking in OK, this is how the options should be appearing. Check out when you click directly into the customization of the ribbon, click directly into this element, and this will be displayed in the developer mode view, where you can just enable this and hit into OK. Once you have now selected this process, what you can do is to make sure that your tab of developer is now being correctly active. Now the next thing to do is to focus directly into the macro name. You can give it a meaningful name, like the format headers, no space allow, shortcuts key. You can assign a shortcut like the Ctrl Shift plus H, for example, and the store macro into the selected workbook description, add a short note. Now, what can you see into the developer tab? You can see that you have turned the developer tab on. You can see the Visual Basic, the macros, the add-in, the controls, and the XML. Once all of these elements have been corrected, what you can do now is to focus the macro. So once you have enabled the content into the security warning dialog, you can select the option that says yes to make the document trusted. It says that the only file is on network location. Other users who have access to this network location might be able to tamper with this file. So take that in mind. And when you go for file options, trust center, you choose select macro settings and enable the macros with notifications if you wanted to, if you don't want a developer to check out that information, right? So once you do have now these elements enabled into the Microsoft 365 files, what you can do now is to start by automating tasks with the macro recorder. I'm going to leave you this link down below in the description where you can try out the Microsoft 365, which in this case, when you have the developer been enabled, there are a few helpful things to show you how about the macros. You can see they have the record macro enabled in here. So when you record a macro for performing a set of tasks in the range in Excel, the macro will only run a cells within the actual range. So if you're added an extra row to the range, the macro will not run the process on the new row, but only the cells within the actual range. So if you plan a long process or task record, plan to have a smaller relevant macro instead of having a one long macro. And the way is to record is into the developer tab, into the code group, click into record, and you'll be seeing something like this: the format, the shortcut, the store macro, and the description. Then what you need to do is to assign a keyboard shortcut and then select where you want to store the macro. You'll be saving the macro with this workbook location, but if you want a macro to be available whenever you use Excel, the personal macro workbook can be working right away. You go for OK, and this is how you can start working into the developer tab. Click into the macros to view macros associated with the workbook. I'll press Alt F8. This opens the macro dialog box, and you can see that all of these elements cannot be undone. Before you run a recorded macro for the first time, make sure that you have to either save the workbook whether you want to run the macro, or better yet, work on a copy of the workbook to prevent unwanted changes. Here are the tasks on working with the Microsoft Excel. Once again, you have the link down below in the description to check out more information about the actual macros. Now, unfortunately, I can't be able to show you the real work of how you can actually get started with the actual macros, but well, if you're looking for the actual macros, you can make sure that you have the real version of the Microsoft 365, which is not that expensive, but that's totally optional if you wanted to use that element into the future. So guys, hopefully with this being said, we have now found this helpful video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you wanted to see more great tools, how we can get started with Excel and so much more tools from Microsoft. Thank you once again for watching, and hopefully with all of this being said, we can all see you guys next time.